Hello, welcome back to the Arsenal Objective. So here in part two of our video looking into Arsenal Football Club's financial situation and its impact on our transfer activity, we're going to take a look into Arsenal's transfer window coming up this summer. In our last video, we looked into Arsenal's financial situation and how this impacted transfer activity for the club over the years. We kind of came to a rough conclusion that Arsenal had good cause for quite a few seasons around the specifically the Emirates Stadium build to tread carefully with the amount of money spent in the transfer purchases. But we also came to the conclusion that for at least the last two main transfer windows, the financial figures suggest maybe Arsenal should have been pushing a little bit more, and they were a little bit timid in their approach to purchasing players. And sometimes we're not committing enough to capturing top quality players. So at the time of the making of this video, this is how Arsenal's 2013 to 2014 squad appears. So hopefully I think most Arsenal fans would agree we only really have sufficient amount of depth in the midfield department with a mixture of up-and-coming talent, particularly thinking players like Gideon Zelalem, or however you pronounce it, who we think is going to be a revelation for Arsenal Football Club in the near future. And we also have more established players in the mould of Thomas Rosicky and Mikel Arteta, etc., etc. Having said all this, though, if we return back to our very first video, we looked into injuries. We also know that there are a lot of extremely injury-prone players in the squad in this regard. We only have to look at players like Diaby, Wilshere, Gibbs, Sonogo, Walcott, etc., etc., and we have to accept these are players that do experience a higher than average injury rate, and as such, we should really have some immediate cover ready to go for them should they fall foul of injuries again. So this brings us on to our first main question. The question is, where should Arsenal strengthen first in the transfer window? So let's be honest, this really is a simple question for most of us to answer as Arsenal fans. And looking objectively, you only need to look at Arsenal's squad list to see we are woefully short of out-and-out strikers when we compare ourselves to other top squads in the Premiership. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's compare our striking options with the other top clubs in the Premiership. Now, please bear in mind we're making reference to out-and-out strikers here. I don't think we'll consider forwards who look to run in from the wings like your Walcotts and your Podolskis, but players who have to operate at the top of the pitch in the middle, who need to be targeting the 30-goal a season haul from one season to the next. How about now we look at some of the figures for goals scored by players at the top clubs? That's probably useful at this point. Now, for Arsenal this season, the main breadwinners of the campaign have been, without doubt, Olivier Giroud and Aaron Ramsey. Giroud, in his role as more of a holding striker and a target man, has reached a fairly admirable 15 goals in the Premier League this season, and Ramsey, before his pretty lengthy injury, was on a hot streak with 9 goals from the centre of the park alone, which is very impressive. Now, in both cases, this highlights the urgent need for Arsenal to get a striker who is significantly more dangerous, as we simply aren't posing enough of a threat from the top of the park when you compare specifically to, say, your Suarez's, who him in particular, he has exactly double the amount of goals Giroud does on 30 goals in the Premier League this season. And then you've got Sturridge not far behind that in terms of goals per game. Now, you could argue that Arsenal like to share goals out more evenly amongst the players on the pitch, but looking now at the general goal tally for the season at the time of the making of this video, we are absolutely nowhere near Man City or Liverpool in terms of goals, who are both clubs we really should be offering a greater threat to, and who we should be aiming to destabilise at the top of the Premier League. So on this note, perhaps we should be looking towards striking options first when we're thinking transfers. So getting back to things, our opinion here at the Arsenal Objective, based on simple fact and figures, is that Arsenal must secure a top striker this summer, and it needs to be a dynamic and, more importantly, an established striker, and perhaps with it a change of tactics to go with it. The bottom line is Giroud can't carry the front line by himself all season, so this seems logical to suggest. So because this is the Arsenal Objective talking here, it wouldn't be very objective of us to guess who Arsenal will sign, as beyond the recent hints of talks with players like Griezmann of Real Sociedad, there is little to go on ahead of the transfer window itself. So we're going to make this a topic for discussion below. This brings us on to our next question. Are there any established strikers with pedigree and enough quality that Arsenal could realistically look to sign this summer? And we're really looking for your thoughts below on that. In the comments section, that is. The Arsenal Objective have put together a little list of strikers who, due to their circumstances or perhaps known quotes we have in referring to Arsenal Football Club, we can say are at least contenders to possibly join the club. So here that is. Here's that list of ours. It's rare we allow ourselves to get into pure conjecture, but for the purposes of decent discussion, this is what we came up with. Now, this season, our defensive coordination has significantly improved. Thinking back over, you only have to go back a few years, and we were really in dire straits defensively. There's no question we had a few dodgy games without Lauren Koscielny, where we received a bit of a drumming from Everton, Man City and Liverpool in particular. But anyway, moving on, it seems fair to say that with Bakary Sagna and Thomas Vermaelen both possibly looking to move on this summer, Arsenal really need to look towards reinforcing these positions and getting some additions this summer. Furthermore, I don't think Arsenal fans are going to be satisfied with Arteta, Flamini and Kallstrom as the holding midfield options for the next season, 2014 to 2015. And for that matter, Kallstrom's only on loan, so I think we have to give him back before too long. So we don't have a lot of time to go into this further, and seeing as the whole point of the Arsenal objective is your feedback and building a place for you guys to shoot the breeze with us on this stuff, let's leave you with a few questions in closing. So the first of them being, which Arsenal players do you think will realistically leave this summer? Which players do you think will leave, whether for contract reasons or happiness at the squad, at the club reasons? And the second question, where do you think Arsene Wenger will spend the money this summer? We're talking about what areas of the squad, centre-back, defensive midfielder, striker, wings, etc. Let's have your thoughts on that. So this has been the Arsenal Objective once more. Stay tuned for that next video, and please, like we keep saying, leave your comments below. We're looking to build up a real buzz around logical and rational discussion based around Arsenal Football Club here, and we invite your comments. Again, just to remind you, top comments will eventually be featured in further videos to come, and we'll make a real point of getting your valid points across in our videos. This is all about your feedback. So we look forward to your feedback, and stay tuned for the next video.